I'm Jenny, I'm from Germany, and together with my car D'Artagnan, I'm touring Europe, doing house sits, and explore beautiful places in historic cities and nature. Come along! After arriving in Seville at the parking close to the city, I used the first couple of days exploring the amazing old town and then take a tour of the palace, which was just stunning.
It's too much, and you need to go watching the next monument. So it's better to be more relaxed and take one monument or at least in different hours, not the same.
Those of you who know me longer already know that I love boat rides, so I just had to take a tour and look at beautiful Seville from the water.
Until 1964, the original shipping imports were typically from Seville.
A la izquierda, el Palacio de San Telmo, del siglo XVII.
I then went to Plaza de Espana, which is a place in the Park de Maria Luisa. It was built in 1928 for the Ibero-American Exposition of 1929. It is a landmark example of regionalism architecture, mixing elements of the Baroque Revival, Renaissance Revival, and Moorish Revival styles of Spanish architecture. Honestly, at times I felt like being in Venice. I was completely enchanted by the colorful tiles, the curvy bridges, and the floating boats on the sparkling water. In the middle of my 1 week stay in Seville, there was a really bad weather forecast with lots of rain, and I decided to travel to a private parking close to Jerez de la Frontera to get a hot shower and be a little more sheltered. I was also planning to visit the Royal Horse Academy there. Good morning, everyone. I'm on my way to Jerez, but last night I had to go through a puddle on a street and it was bumping so hard I thought my tire would be flat because you cannot see what's underneath the water. And another car got stuck in one of those puddles and I was trying to get around that puddle from yesterday, and now here I am on the street with a huge puddle, and I feel so anxious going through that, and I checked there is no other way, so... Now this man just came out of his driveway right in front of the puddle and he told me to turn around and follow him. I'm so glad. He just got out of his car, pointed me to the direction I had to go, and I'm so relieved. Well, this really is the major problem with those huge kind of almost like ponds on the streets and you don't know what's underneath, and gosh. On my drive back to Seville, I could see those rainy areas on the ground almost everywhere. Back in my favorite town, Seville, I kept on enjoying all the lively art and dancing and music the city had to offer at this season. And also diverse super thanks invitations by you, my really wonderful channel members. So thank you so much for that. I also found this hidden gem, the treasured home of the Salinas family, which was built during the 16th century when Seville was called Nova Roma for its splendor. The owner is talking to you via the headphone, explaining the fascinating history of his home in detail. It surely was an amazingly intimate experience, since the family still lives in this house, and thus opening hours are restricted. And then, finally, I took a tour through the grand cathedral. According to my tour guide, the cathedral is the third biggest of the world after Rome and London. It used to be a former mosque and was completed in the early 16th century. Here you see the Golden Bible for the illiterate people of former times. 2 tons of gold were used for those 200 sculptures. And these noble men actually carry the remains of Christopher Columbus. The total height of the Giralda Tower, or the Bell Tower, is 104.5 meters. It was the former minaret of the mosque that stood on the side. This tower doesn't have stairs, but 35 ramps. They were designed to allow guards on horseback to reach the top. This feature stems from the tower's original function as a minaret. It's still so windy and stormy, but the weather today is sunny, unlike the last days where it's been raining a lot. But even though it was raining, Seville was amazing. I so much fell in love with this city, and it was just a dance for the senses in there. The orange blossoms had that specific scent, and the orange trees were growing all over the streets. And no matter where you turned to, there was beautiful historic architecture, art everywhere, artists everywhere playing music, dancing. The people were cheerful, and it was just an explosion of life in there. And I really can imagine spending longer time in Seville, maybe rent an apartment for a winter, do some painting classes, maybe even flamenco, who knows. So I don't think that I've fallen as much in love with the city as I did with Seville. And it really is hurting a little to leave now after a week. However, I'm also excited to go and explore Portugal because I've heard so much about the Portuguese coast and about the people and nature. So we'll see. I'm excited. Well, and my breathtaking experiences in Portugal you will see in the next video. Thank you so much for coming along. As always, I'm looking forward to reading from you in the comment sections. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're doing fine wherever you are.